very bottom of 322, they talk about the gross rent, gross income multiplier. I had mentioned that earlier. That is another method of calculating or using rent as a means of calculating value. There's no math here. If I did, it's actually pretty simple. But what makes that calculation, the gross rent income multiplier, different than this is that the gross rent multiplier uses monthly income and does not include any expenses. So it's monthly income and no expenses. So the name, as the name implies, it's gross rent. Gross meaning before any expenses. It's not net income. Like this, net income, we're taking out expenses. So gross income is no expenses, but also a monthly income, where this is all an annual expression that we're using here. So that makes that different. So the last thing in this chapter is on 323, talking about reconciliation. So again, this is an area that many agents lack, and this is one of the areas that you really need a lot of help, but we just don't cover a lot of it in here. So reconciliation is ultimately your explanation for why you think this home is worth X number of dollars. So the reconciliation is your explanation. Here's what I did. I pulled these comps and I adjusted them, and here's where I came up with this number. And here's why I pulled these comps. I pulled these because these were closer, because they're in the same school district. Here's where I came up with my numbers. You know, 100 square foot is worth X number of dollars, and here's how I came up with that. So it's your explanation of why you use the numbers that you used. If I use the cost approach, I use the cost approach because of this. And here's how I came up with those numbers. I did this land extrapolation value method. I got the numbers from a builder. Here's how I calculated depreciation, all that stuff. So I went through all that. I've been having you highlight as we went through each of these, which of these methods are used more toward what property type. So we talked about the sales comparison approach being the most commonly used for existing single-family homes. So as we've gone through this, we had 3 different values that we did tonight. Using the sales comparison approach, we came up with 107. The cost approach, 95. The income approach, we just came up with 111,000. So we have a pretty wide range there. We have about a, what, $116,000 range. I'm sorry, a $16,000 range. We have a client that they don't want a range. I want to list this home. What should I list this home for? Somewhere between 95 and 111. They're going to want to know a little bit better number than that. A buyer comes to you, says, I want to buy this home. What's it worth? Oh, somewhere between 95 and 111. They want an explanation. They want this reconciliation. So it would be up to us to say that, well, I gave more weight to the sales comparison approach maybe, because it's an existing single-family home, and I had good comparables, and I think that it gives the most weight. Or it's a brand new home, never lived in, or it's a special purpose, specialty use type property. So I use the cost approach. Or it's an income producing property. It's an apartment, it's a retail strip center, something like that. I'm giving more weight to that. So your reconciliation would look at this if you've done all that, but also explains, maybe I only did one of these. Maybe I only did the income or the cost or the sales. Here's what I did when I did that. Here's why I think what I think. This is my opinion. Can I support that opinion? Me just saying that I think your home's worth 107. Why? Not just because I said. I'm the real estate agent, so shut up. Clients don't like that. They want to see, why do you think it's worth 107? I trust you, but can you explain it to me a little bit more? Yeah, see, here's the comps that I used, and here's how I adjusted it, and they had a large more square footage, they had a different garage, whatever. Here's how I came up with that. They'll feel better about that, as opposed to just, it's 107. They want you to explain yourself. So that is reconciliation.